The atmosphere within the hallowed halls of Forster Creations has devolved from a sanctuary of high fashion into a suffocating pressure cooker of corporate warfare and interpersonal betrayal. The legacy brand is currently hemorrhaging credibility, caught in the devastating crossfire of a catastrophic public relations nightmare following Hope Logan Spencer's shocking, secret defection to the rival Logan brand. The executive suite, once a symbol of untouchable glamour and unshakable family unity, now feels like a war room where the casualties are measured in shattered trust and plummeting stock prices. At the very center of this swirling vortex of chaos stands Ridge Forrester, a man who is desperately trying to hold the crumbling pieces of his family's empire together while navigating a labyrinth of deception that threatens to destroy everything his father, Eric Forrester, built. Ridge is already stretched to his absolute psychological breaking point, having recently been forced to terminate Will Spencer to appease his son, RJ, while simultaneously battling Steffy Forrester Finnegan's arrogant mismanagement. But just when Ridge believes the situation cannot possibly deteriorate any further, the universe delivers a staggering, chaotic blow that threatens to obliterate his reality entirely. The heavy oak doors of the CEO office swing open, and the air in the room instantly turns to ice as Shauna Fulton makes her audacious, highly publicized return to Los Angeles. She does not merely enter the room. She invades it, carrying an aura of unpredictable danger and entitled swagger that immediately puts Ridge on high alert. Ridge is left completely stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief as he stares at the woman who represents one of the most reckless, destructive chapters of his entire life. Shauna's sudden appearance is not a mere social call. It is a calculated, predatory strike perfectly timed to exploit the vulnerability of Forster Creations. She stands before him, a ghost from a tequila-soaked past, radiating a dangerous confidence that suggests she is holding a hand of cards that cannot be beaten. For Ridge, seeing Shauna is a visceral shock to the system, a sudden and violent collision between his present corporate nightmares and his past romantic transgressions. Shauna's presence instantly reignites the haunting memories of their infamous, fraudulent marriage in Las Vegas. The neon-lit chapels, the intoxicating blur of alcohol, and the devastating betrayal that nearly shattered Ridge's eternal bond with Brooke Logan Forrester all come rushing back with suffocating intensity. Shauna knows exactly what her face represents to the Forrester patriarch. She's a walking, breathing trigger, a reminder of a time when Ridge was vulnerable enough to be manipulated into a sham union that humiliated his true love. But Shauna has not returned to Los Angeles simply to reminisce about their scandalous desert escapades. She is armed with far more than just seductive smiles and nostalgic manipulation. She has arrived as a corporate mercenary, wielding leaked intelligence that she acquired directly through her daughter, Flo Fulton, and Wyatt Spencer. As Shauna begins to outline her audacious business proposal, the true horror of her return begins to dawn on Ridge. She casually reveals that she possesses intimate, highly confidential knowledge of the ruthless corporate war being waged by Bill Spencer and the Logan brand. Through Wyatt's deep involvement in Bill's hostile expansion, Shauna has intercepted a devastating business secret, a piece of corporate dynamite that has the power to completely annihilate Forster Creations. She is not here to ask for a job. She is here to demand a partnership, using her explosive intelligence as the ultimate leverage. Ridge realizes with a sinking dread that Shauna is not just a nuisance. She is a catastrophic threat who has positioned herself as the absolute arbiter of Forster Creation survival. Before Ridge can even begin to process the magnitude of Shauna's blackmail, the situation escalates from a tense negotiation into an explosive, uncontrollable confrontation. Brooke Logan Forrester enters the executive suite, and the moment her eyes lock on her bitter, longtime rival, the room erupts into absolute fury. Brooke's reaction is visceral and immediate, a primal scream of rage and indignation. To Brooke, Shauna is not just an unwelcome guest. She is a venomous serpent who once tried to steal her husband and destroy her family. The sight of Shauna standing in the heart of Forrester Creations, looking smug and victorious, pushes Brooke past the point of rationality. The bitter, destructive love triangle that tore their lives apart years ago is instantly reignited, burning with a fresh, scorching intensity that threatens to consume them all. Brooke is absolutely livid, her voice trembling with a mixture of heartbreak and uncontrollable anger as she issues a devastating ultimatum to her husband. She demands that Ridge throw Shauna out of the building immediately, framing the situation as the ultimate test of his loyalty and devotion. For Brooke, there is no room for negotiation, no space for corporate strategy. It is a binary choice, her trust or Shauna's presence. Brooke insists that Ridge must choose between the sanctity of their marriage and whatever twisted game Shauna is trying to play. She views Shauna's return as a direct assault on her territory, a blatant disrespect that cannot be tolerated for a single second. Brooke's frantic, desperate need to control the narrative blinds her to the very real, existential threat that Shauna poses to the company. However, Shauna remains entirely unfazed by Brooke's explosive tantrum. With a chilling, calculated calmness, Shauna plays her trump card, revealing the full extent of the business secrets she learned through Wyatt. She makes it abundantly clear that if Ridge bows to Brooke's demands and throws her out, she will not hesitate to take this devastating information straight to the media or, worse, directly to the Forrester Creations Board of Directors. Shauna threatens to expose a vulnerability so profound that it would completely destroy Ridge's credibility as a leader. In a company already bleeding from Hope's defection and the relentless attacks from the Spencer-Logan alliance, this revelation would be the fatal blow. The board of directors, already anxious and seeking accountability, would have no choice but to remove Ridge from power, effectively handing the fashion empire over to Bill Spencer on a silver platter. Ridge is suddenly thrust into an excruciating, impossible dilemma, caught in a suffocating vice between the love of his life and the survival of his family's legacy. If he chooses to honor Brooke's ultimatum and ejects Shauna from the premises, he is virtually guaranteeing the total collapse of Forrester Creations. The board of directors would crucify him, the stock would plummet, and Eric Forster's life's work would be reduced to ashes in the face of the Logan brand's dominance. But if he chooses to partner with Shauna, to accept her blackmail in order to save the company from absolute ruin, he knows it will shatter Brooke's trust forever. Brooke would view his collaboration with Shauna as an unforgivable betrayal, a validation of her deepest insecurities, and a repetition of the Las Vegas nightmare that nearly ended them permanently. The psychological toll on Ridge is immense. He stares at the two women who represent the agonizing dichotomy of his current existence. On one side stands Brooke, the woman he has loved for decades, his ultimate destiny, whose eyes are pleading with him to validate their marriage and cast out the intruder. On the other side stands Shauna, wearing a triumphant, predatory smirk, holding the keys to the kingdom and daring him to make the responsible, yet emotionally devastating, corporate choice. Ridge's mind races as he weighs the catastrophic consequences of each path. He is a man who has always prided himself on protecting his family. But now he is faced with the horrifying reality that protecting his family's business means destroying his family's heart. Shauna's motivations in this high-stakes game are complex and deeply rooted in her own desire for power and relevance. She is not merely acting out of a lingering, twisted affection for Ridge. She is an opportunist who sees a golden chance to elevate her own status while simultaneously inflicting maximum pain on her greatest rival. Shauna revels in the power she now holds over the mighty Forrester family. She enjoys watching Brooke squirm, taking immense pleasure in the fact that her leaked intelligence has rendered Brooke's emotional demands utterly powerless against the cold, hard reality of corporate survival. Shauna is a survivor, a wild card who has weaponized Wyatt's connection to the Spencers to carve out a throne for herself in the middle of a corporate war zone, and she is thoroughly enjoying every single second of the chaos she has unleashed. Meanwhile, Brooke's psychological state is deteriorating rapidly. Her blinding hatred for Shauna prevents her from comprehending the sheer magnitude of the corporate danger they are facing. Brooke operates purely on emotion, convinced that her love and her bond with Ridge should be enough to conquer any obstacle. She views Ridge's hesitation not as a strategic calculation, but as a personal failure, a sign that he still harbors some dark, lingering connection to the woman from Las Vegas. Brooke's delusion regarding Hope's loyalty is now mirrored by her delusion regarding Shauna's threat level. She refuses to accept that Shauna holds the power to destroy them, demanding that Ridge act on faith and love rather than pragmatism and self-preservation. This intense, emotional blindness only exacerbates the terrifying reality of the situation, pushing Ridge further into an impossible corner. The implications for the board of directors are terrifyingly real. The board is not concerned with romantic entanglements or decades-old rivalries. They're concerned with profit margins, public relations, and corporate stability. If Shauna executes her threat, the board will see Ridge as a compromised, ineffective CEO who allowed his personal life to jeopardize a multi-million-dollar empire. The credibility that Ridge has spent his entire life building would evaporate overnight, leaving him powerless to stop the impending takeover. Furthermore, this scandal would severely undermine Steffy's position as co-CEO, validating all the criticisms that have been leveled against her recent management decisions. The entire Forrester leadership structure is resting on the razor's edge of Shauna Fulton's whims, and one wrong move will send the entire dynasty crashing to the ground. The profound irony of the situation is not lost on anyone in the room. It is the Spencer family, specifically Bill's son Wyatt, who inadvertently handed Shauna the very weapon needed to either destroy Forrester Creations or save it. Wyatt's return to Los Angeles, meant to solidify the Logan brand's dominance, has created a chaotic ripple effect that no one, not even the ruthless and calculating Bill Spencer, could have predicted. Shauna has effectively hijacked the corporate war, positioning herself as a rogue agent whose loyalties are entirely self-serving. She is the ultimate disruptor, turning the battle between Forrester and Logan into a high-stakes hostage situation where Ridge is the primary captive, forced to negotiate for his life's work at gunpoint. As the silence in the executive suite stretches into an unbearable eternity, the dramatic atmosphere reaches a fever pitch. The air is thick with unspoken threats, broken trust, and the terrifying realization that the world as they know it is about to change forever. Ridge stands frozen, the weight of the world bearing down on his shoulders. Every tick of the clock brings him closer to a decision that will inevitably result in catastrophic collateral damage. He looks at Brooke's tear-filled, furious eyes, and then at Shauna's cold, calculating gaze. The walls of Forrester Creations are closing in on him, the legacy of his father hanging by a fragile thread that is ready to snap at any moment. The tension is palpable, a living, breathing entity that threatens to suffocate everyone in the room. In this defining moment, the true tragedy of Ridge Forrester is laid bare. He is a man trapped by his own history, forced to pay the price for past mistakes in the currency of his current empire. The sudden, explosive return of Shauna Fulton has transformed a corporate crisis into a deeply personal nightmare, proving that in Los Angeles, the ghosts of the past never truly stay buried. As Ridge prepares to make his choice, the entire fashion world holds its breath, waiting to see whether love or legacy will ultimately survive the impending storm. The battle lines have been drawn, the ultimatum has been issued, and the fallout promises to be nothing short of legendary.